Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're working in product design right now in 2026, you already know the drill. The expectations for volume and speed, they are absolutely intense. We're moving incredibly fast, and the pressure to generate high-quality concepts is honestly higher than it's ever been. So today, we're going to look really closely at how AI-assisted product concept ideas are completely reshaping our workflows, our aesthetics, and honestly, our daily responsibilities. Okay, let's dive into this because it brings us right to the absolute biggest anxiety in the industry today. Can AI replace human designers in 2026? It's the core question everyone has been asking since these generative tools really hit the mainstream. The short answer? No, absolutely not. You see, AI makes iteration incredibly cheap, but it definitely doesn't make correct decisions. The whole novelty of generative AI as this sort of magic wand has completely worn off. Instead, what we're looking at now is a high-speed copilot. Automation handles the sheer, massive volume of concepts, sure, but human designers, we still have to handle the judgment, the strategy, and the empathy. To understand how we actually apply this, here's our roadmap for This Explainer. We're going to cover 1, the 2026 design reality, 2, supercharging digital concept ideas, 3, accelerating physical product design, 4, the human strategy element, 5, building your AI stack, and 6, the future of creation. Let's get right into it. Starting with Section 1, the 2026 design reality, moving from novelty to workflow necessity. So according to the recent Uxia AI in Design report, that classic modern designer's dilemma, having to pump out dozens of variants by lunch and maybe even shipping a prototype right after, well, it is actively being solved by automation. The numbers here are just wild. An incredible 91% of designers are using AI weekly, and 75% are using it literally every single day. AI in design has completely moved out of that experimentation bucket. It's no longer a luxury or a fun side project. It's standard, daily production work for the vast majority of the entire industry. And that daily adoption brings us to Section 2, supercharging digital concept ideas and the UI/UX evolution. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that AI is fundamentally supercharging how we generate digital concepts. It's moving us from rapid early prototyping all the way into entirely new aesthetic paradigms that totally change how users experience software. But notice something? The best teams aren't using one magical tool to do everything. They're building a highly specialized stack. Midjourney is your go-to for gorgeous concept art and visual direction. Figma AI is brilliant for your layout logic and design systems. Need fast stakeholder alignment? UseArt converts those messy sketches to wireframes instantly. Galileo AI completely shatters that dreaded blank page paralysis with text to UI. And Google Stitch, it literally turns your voice and quick sketches into multi-screen UI concepts. The secret is picking the specialized tool based on exactly where your specific team is slowing down. All this hyper-efficient tooling actually leads us to a massive shift in how we design for the web today, bringing us to machine experience, or MX design. User behavior has completely flipped. People are constantly asking AI agents like ChatGPT or Gemini to find the best this or compare options for that. What does that mean for us? It means we're no longer designing strictly for human visual consumption. Structural hierarchy, data relationships, semantic HTML. Those things now matter just as much as your visual layout, because honestly, if the machines can't understand your product, you're basically invisible in modern search. But here is the truly fascinating irony of 2026. As AI effortlessly generates thousands of perfectly polished, mathematically flawless interfaces, humans are actually craving the exact opposite. We're craving the messy, the chaotic, the tactile. We're seeing this massive return to anti-minimalism. We're talking high contrast, hand-drawn details, glass morphism 2.0, and even these wild, puffy, squishy textures. It makes sense, right? In a completely AI-dominated digital landscape, those tactile cues and deliberate imperfections are what signal true human intention and authorship. All right, let's transition over to Section 3, accelerating physical product design, focusing on industrial AI. And this brilliantly illustrates how the impact of these tools isn't just trapped behind a computer screen. It's so cool when you contrast digital and physical trends right now. While digital software is leaning heavily into generative UI and spatial computing, physical products are actually moving completely away from screens. Industrial design in 2026 is all about embedded intelligence. Think appliances using resistance, acoustics, and tactile feedback alongside a massive, massive push for circular, bio-based sustainable materials. $60 billion. Just let that sink in for a second.
That is the massive economic productivity that McKinsey estimates is currently being unlocked by generative AI in physical product research and design alone. The sheer speed of moving from a rough concept straight to CAD is literally generating billions in value.
But as you might guess, it's not all perfectly smooth sailing. That brings us to Section 4, the human strategy element, and the very real limits of generative AI. Because while AI generates this incredibly high volume of work, we absolutely have to acknowledge its severe limitations. We're talking hallucinations, highly generic outputs, and some very real intellectual property risks. I actually love this anecdote from a recent McKinsey design analysis. They prompted an AI to generate a drone concept, and it gave them exactly this: an unflyable passenger drone with an uneven number of propeller blades, insufficient landing gear, and no doors. It's funny, sure, but it's an incredibly powerful reminder. The AI might output a beautifully rendered, super sleek image at first glance, but without human engineering checks and critical judgment, you just end up with an unsafe, unmanufacturable picture. And that is exactly why the role of the designer has evolved into these core human co-pilot responsibilities. You still have to conduct primary consumer ethnographic research. Simply because AI only knows past data, it doesn't know future human needs. You have to engineer highly specific, iterative prompts. You absolutely must refine those unmanufacturable AI outputs using real CAD or Figma software. You have to curate the best concepts from literally dozens of options so your stakeholders aren't completely overwhelmed. And most crucially of all, you are the one applying the ethical governance, the empathy, and the accessibility checks that a machine simply cannot feel or understand. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5. Building your AI stack, and why workflow is vastly more important than tools. So it's time to take all this abstract strategy and turn it into a practical, everyday pipeline for your team. Inspired by the frameworks at Phygital Plus, this right here is what a mature 2026 AI-assisted concept workflow actually looks like. Step 1 is research support. This is where AI summarizes your user interviews and clusters all that messy feedback. Step 2 is ideation. You generate cheap flow variations and mood boards just to test the waters. Step 3 is UI generation, drafting those first-pass screens to get you past that dreaded blank page paralysis. And Step 4 is review and handoff, where AI helps you generate microcopy variants and perfectly structures your engineering specs. Listen, standardizing this exact pipeline across your team is vastly more valuable than just hoarding a random collection of AI design tools. Which finally brings us to Section 6, the future of creation, prioritizing strategy over execution. As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to look at what it truly means to be a creator today, especially when the manual, pixel-pushing execution of an idea is heavily automated by machines. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. When AI can generate 1,000 product concepts in a single minute, is your true value in the ideas you create or the ones you choose to discard? Your real value as a product designer in 2026 is no longer just your technical execution speed. It's your taste, it's your empathy, it's your strategic curation. The tools have absolutely changed, but the bar for design that genuinely works for humans, that hasn't budged an inch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep designing for the future.